Pete Yost here for the Unbuild It podcast with just a quick word about our long-standing, upstanding, outstanding sponsor, Huber Engineered Woods. They make the Advantech floor system and the zip sheathing for roofs and walls. All three of us on the Unbuild It podcast do a lot of work with Huber Engineered Woods, but the work that we're most proud of is on the Home Building Crossroad educational series. Well, the next Home Building Crossroad event is going to be September 22nd in Atlanta, Georgia at the Top Golf Midtown venue. Steve and I will be working through our new modules on foundations, above-grade wall assemblies, and roof assemblies. Lots of good high-performance details, climate-tuned, and a ton of building science as always. So if you'd like to register for this upcoming event, go to homebuildingcrossroads.com and you can register. And now on to the Unbuild It podcast. Thanks.
I'm Jake Bruton, and welcome to the Unbuild It podcast. And today, I have no co-hosts. I just have a guest. So Steve's not here. Steve's not here, man. And Pete's not here, which is your turn to go. Pete's not here, man.
Pete's not here, man. I didn't want to overstep.
My guest is Travis Brungart, Catalyst Construction in Prairie Village, Kansas. And I believe Travis's business partner, Joe, will be joining us in a minute. But this is, we're throwing this together a little last minute to make sure that we got it out in time to promote what we're going to promote that we'll talk about in a minute. But hopefully Joe will join us. And if he does, we'll just pretend as if we haven't started yet and see what he thinks we should talk about and pick at him.
It's a great idea. This can't miss.
So in the vein of we're going to talk about BS and beer, and you're on the BS and beer show. I decided I would have a beer while we recorded.
Cheers!
Just so
I'm drinking with you.
We're going to do the what beer are you drinking? Broadway Brewery is about 1.5 miles from my house. They have a Four Blanco Mexican lager that this might be my favorite beer right now. I was so happy that I found it in cans that I bought 2 6-packs like a wild college student.
Way to go,
So cheers.
Jake. You
Cheers.
are wild, man. Cheers to you as well. I'm drinking a less exotic Modelo, and I just wanted to join you in your Mexican lager enjoyment, mainly because I drank all the rest of my Free State Guavatas during the BS and Beer show last night with our friend Randy Williams and Doug Horgan.
And I'm very sorry I missed it. My wife bought tickets to the university football game for last night, so I went to the football game with the kids instead of watching BS and Beer, because I did sign up to watch BS and Beer and then realized that it was the same time as the football game. So,
Your loss.
if you get a chance to hear those two talk, either one of them, they're both very informed individuals that really know what they're talking about. I would put Doug especially into the expert category. There are not very many people in our industry that I actually would say are experts, and Doug is one of those people. So
That's fair. I have less familiarity with Doug. I've only worked with him on a few BS and Beer show things and then read his articles in JLC. I'm just more familiar with Randy, and he's advised me on a lot of things. So I have a special place for Randy. I think I was reviewing my unfinished JLC and FHB stack last night, and I realized that I have 5 articles from Randy in like the last year, and I think there's 3 in there from Doug. Those guys are just prolific. They're very
Randy has been cranking them out nonstop. I just slid somebody's paycheck under a closed door because I could hear him coming into the building.
That's how you guys always operate over at Aero Building. You know, you're sliding money under doors. That's just how you get things done. Columbia is a real Wild West.
No, we actually get thrown for a real loop when we have an employee that wants to have an actual check printed. Like, I don't remember the last time. No, actually, this was his first paycheck working for us. I ran it while I was out of town and forgot to print it when I got back. And it's been like 3 weeks, and he went, "I never got a paycheck for the first week." And I was like, "Dude, how come you haven't brought that up before now? If something happens like that again, don't let it slide." He's on direct deposit now.
Of course.
You will
he
actually
wanted
get
to frame his first check.
yeah,
Like when you open a business and you frame your first dollar. Is that
Yep.
what he's doing?
I think if you open a business at this point and you're selling things that only cost $1, it's time to close that business because you're not going to have much. If you're putting up that
Even
first
the dollar store is
$1
$1.50
that your company ever earns, you might want to ease onto the brakes for a minute and start over. Okay, so you're actually going to get to meet that new employee in a week or so. And that's kind of what we're here to talk about. Not the fact that you're meeting an employee, but where you're going to get to meet this employee. And we can do plenty of horsing around as well. But let's start by talking about what our goal for this podcast was. We discussed doing one, and we said we should use this to promote BS and Beer in Kansas City and BS and Beer, or the Midwest Building Science Symposium in Kansas City and the Southeast Building Science Symposium, or Midwest Building Science Symposium, Chattanooga. And so let's do here, I'm a salesman. Here are the dates. Here's how you go to sign up. Give me the 5 minutes on the symposium, and then we can talk about what it means to me and why we want to support it.
That sounds great. So the elevator speech for the Symposium series is the same that you and Steve and Peter have been giving for a while on the importance of going to live events and learning from this fantastic building science community, because the Midwest Building Science Symposium will be in its third year here in Kansas City. It's coming up just in a few weeks, and unfortunately it's already sold out. So we can't take on any more guests for the Midwest Building Science Symposium, which this will be your third year presenting at that event. Steve's as well. We do have some new voices. This year we have Allison Bales presenting on indoor air quality, which of course is a pertinent topic. Can we come back to years especially?
Can we come back to Allison after this and talk about his fake news?
Yes, I was wondering when we were going to get into juggling talk. I thought that's what we actually got together for.
We can talk about real juggling, and we can talk about whatever that was that Allison pretended to do. You go right ahead.
So as I was saying, we have an excellent panel of presenters providing a building science education over a 2-day seminar. And that includes both you and Steve, as well as Allison, our good friend Ben Bogey. And also we have...
I'm going to keep interrupting you. Let's not use the friend word. Easy with the F word, pal.
All right. So Northeastern...
I don't want Ben to hear this and then be uncomfortable around me from now on.
He's usually so comfortable around us that I'm not even sure he's often wearing pants. Like, that's just a level of comfort that,
that may be just your and his relationship. I don't know. Okay, so we have Allison, Ben Bogey, Steve Basic, and then we have some new faces as well. Allison counts as a new face, technically.
Correct.
Who else?
So I was really excited about the roundtable sessions we had last year. And a lot of the questions and comments came up from the event in Kansas City were directed about Passive House. And fortunately, we had Mariana Pickering of Emu Systems on site. They were a sponsor, and she was willing to field all those questions. And it sparked a bunch of great discussion. I thought, boy, wouldn't it be great for next year if we could have sort of a scale conversation where we include the current and upcoming building code, as well as Pretty Good House and Passive House. And what I wanted to do is show how they all sort of are improving constantly and, kind of pushing the envelope, so to speak. I think that was a Peter pun. Can we say building envelope pun?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like calling them Peter puns, because then it sounds dirty for some reason. The alliterative nature of that. This is a Peter pun.
I like it because it's pronounced correctly, and I didn't use the Canadian pronunciation of pun. I went ahead and used the American pronunciation, which I know Peter likes to dip into the Canadian pronunciation of things with his weekly resource, which I would know as a resource.
Yes.
Anyway,
resource.
As we were saying, the panel will include Glenn Matthewson, who writes extensively for Fine Home Building on building code issues, but also for JLC. And of course, he has Building Code College, which is his company where he educates on building code. So he, in my opinion, is the most entertaining code presenter to watch that I have seen. And so he's going to be talking about the new building code and where we're at with that, and giving some perspective there. Obviously, the Pretty Good House book is the craze that's sweeping the nation. And we are fortunate to have not one, but two of those authors. We're going to have Emily Mottram presenting on Pretty Good House. And we also get to have Michael Maines present, although Mike Maines is really just there as eye candy. I think he's there to sign autographs. We weren't sure he was going to be able to join us. He won't actually be presenting during the event, but he will be as part of the roundtable. And I think we'll be available there for autographs as well. And then we, of course, have Mariana back in Kansas City. There was a scheduling conflict, so we get Enrico in Chattanooga. So if you have
the other half of EMU.
Correct. So that's really a great group to discuss that side of it. And I think we're going to have Steve moderate that. So there'll probably be lots of stirring of the pot, as you can always count on Steve to do. So it's a 2-day event with all those presenters sharing hours and hours of building science knowledge. And of course, in Kansas City, it's at Boulevard Brewery and is just a daytime event. But in Chattanooga, it's kind of special because as you'll recall from the Fine Home Building Summit in 2019, one of the unexpected wonders of that was that we were all together staying in kind of backwater Southbridge, I think is the name of the town. There wasn't anything going on in the town. There was no reason to
Normally
leave.
It's me that disparages an entire community instead of the guest. But yes, Southbridge, Massachusetts, the backwater that it may be, that Travis thinks it is.
I like the term backwater. I usually use it to refer to Columbia, where you reside.
Oh, ouch.
But in this case, I wanted to go with, I just wanted to keep using the term. It's a fun thing to say. Anyway, nobody had a reason to leave the hotel. So we all hung out after the seminar, after the presentations. In the evenings, everyone was at the hotel bar, hanging out in the lobby, having all these great discussions based on the information that we had gleaned from the day's events, but also just, comparing notes and really engaging in the building science community, because it really is a fantastic time for that. We have such amazing people sharing freely that you really would miss out if you didn't take the opportunity to spend the evening going to dinner and, picking Doug Horgan's brain or, it's that kind of an event. So that's, I think, what makes Chattanooga special. We're all staying at the Boat Hotel. There's ping pong tables and pool tables and a bar on site. There's just no need to leave and go anywhere else. You're going to have the best time.
Go
there.
Experience the backwater that is Chattanooga. Is that what you're going to say next? Sorry,
I like Chattanooga. I actually vacationed in Chattanooga and found it to be quite pleasant. Thank you.
Not a sentence that I thought I was going to hear today.
Yes, I can give you recommendations.
Okay.
There's great hiking. You would love it.
Okay. I believe you. I think it'll be, I'm excited about that one. I'm more excited about that one than Kansas City even. I like the idea that, we've talked about Building Science Summer Camp on the podcast before. Everybody listens to the same presentation. Everybody goes and has a few drinks and has plenty of time to argue over the content of the day or to shit on the presenters, if you will. And that's kind of the best thing. That's where the real knowledge is gained. You can get a lot from the conversation, but when one person's standing at the front talking, you can't get the same amount from them as you can if you get a chance to sit down and have a beer with them after the fact and go, hey, I think you're wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the best part about the summit that you said. It's the best part about summer camp. I think it's the amazing thing about like this. They keep selling it to other people as like this idea of like it's an all-inclusive building science conference, which sounds like the worst thing in history, but I'm excited about it. So we can start there.
Yeah, I've introduced it a few times as sandals for BS nerds. It really, the all-inclusive concept is
sandals
sort of all there.
So, I do believe I took my honeymoon at a sandals.
Way to keep it classy, Jake.
Exactly. You got to remember when I got married, I was poor.
Yeah, I can relate. I
look back on it now, and I'm glad that I asked my wife to marry me when I did, because I would have had to spend real money on a ring had we got married now that I'm like an adult and own a company and make a real living. Back then, I couldn't I couldn't fathom the idea of spending more than $1,000 on a wedding ring.
Yeah,
Still can't. My next wife better have one that she has left over from a previous marriage or something.
Well, you can trade out the wives as long as you keep the ring. You can reuse it, I think. Isn't that how that works?
It depends on if she gives it back, I guess. I'll have to ask her to give it back.
I thought they threw it at you when they asked you to leave. Isn't that how
I know you're
works?
from Kansas, but this is not a country song all of a sudden.
I expect to only have the one wife, so I don't really know anything about that. It's all a big reach for me.
So do I. My wife just doesn't like it when I introduce her to people as my first wife. She's still my wife, but she doesn't think it's funny when I say this is my first wife, Rebecca.
I wonder why that doesn't sit well with her. Bizarre. So we were, I think, talking
how do we
about
sign
this
up?
The other day.
Real quick,
you go to
before we forget.
bsandbeerkc.org is the website that has all the registration links. If you look at the top menu bar, there's a drop down for symposiums. Don't bother clicking on Midwest. It is full. Go ahead and click on Southeast. That is the Chattanooga link. That's where you want to go. Get that one picked up. There is a little bit of a confusion that I want to rectify while we have the nation's ears.
Damn near killed.
That's right. This came up when we were talking to Will King. Will's great. He's bringing his whole staff. So he was asking
like
about
Will,
the
don't go to Chattanooga.
Or if you just don't, if you're anxious to meet Will's staff, then definitely come to Chattanooga because they will be there. His whole team's coming out. But Will was asking, he's like, I don't really understand, like, what's the deal with the rooms? Because that is the one thing that I think kicks people for a little bit of throws them a curveball, I guess is the better way to say that. The hotel is, set up for normal travelers. So it doesn't have 90 single bed rooms. It has some 3-bedroom suites and some 2-bedroom suites. It's even got some rooms with bunk beds. So it's kind of a wild sort of graduate style hotel experience. And they are literally suites. They're loft suites. Like when I said I went on vacation to Chattanooga, I took my family down. Obviously my wife and I had a room, but then I had 2 other sleeping quarters for my children. And then there was also a ping pong table in the suite and a kitchen, and each bedroom has its own door. And then there were 2 bathrooms. So it's not like, it's a collegial environment for sure, but it isn't college where you have a single room with 2 beds in it, and then you walk down the hall to use the facilities. Each hotel suite is a room, yes, but it's multiple rooms within that room. So you still have privacy. You should definitely be talking to your friends that want to go to the symposium and scheduling a fun trip with them. Like, to me, this was a big win. And someone approached me about it like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't really want to share a room with someone. It's like, really? Like, we're going to basically spend all day together in the conference. Then we're going to spend all evening together, eating dinner and at the bar and playing pool and, talking to each other. And then you don't want to share a hallway with someone. Help me understand why that's weird, because that seems very normal to me. So I keep saying the word collegial because that's what it is. When you were in college, you had way worse accommodations and you had almost as much fun as we're going to have in Chattanooga.
I can see that. So I went to the registration page. One of the things that it says is you should fill in a preferred second room registered attendee. So like if you're signing up for your company, sign up for you, sign up for the person that's going with you and put their name on there. And then most likely you're going to end up sharing a room with them anyway. No sharing beds. I mean, that's up to you, honestly. What
happens behind that door is not my business.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the Olympics. We don't have, kiosks with certain things available for use. It's not that, but it is definitely a good time to be had.
About the weirdest story to come out of the Olympics period is every year every time they tell a story about how the athletes are inappropriate with each other.
Yeah.
Yes. It's nonstop.
That might be the only part of the Olympics that I've paid attention to in the last 20 years.
That is completely accurate. I agree. That's the only part that I think. Look at the condom tally. I'm glad we're here to promote your event, and we're talking about condom tallies.
Well, you guys always keep it highbrow on the Unbuild It, so I knew what I was signing up for.
We do. And we try not to curse, and we already got our one in for the day, so we're good.
I like how you make it the royal we. I haven't cursed at all on your podcast.
It's the editorial we.
Okay, fair. That's fair.
So
So we do have other symposiums coming up, but I'm reluctant to promote them because there are still moving parts. We do have Austin coming up, and I think it's pretty well, the venue's locked in. But again, we have to make sure that we accommodate all of our speakers' schedules, and we also want to make sure that we're providing the best possible experience. So there are some details that are coming together for that. But if you see that on the symposium link on the website in the drop-down menu, that is a real thing that is happening. Also, the DC area symposium, we actually thought that was going to come before Austin, but we've had a really hard time finding the right venue. I like the idea of having it in a brewery. To me, that's what BS and Beer is about. It's a casual time where you sit down and drink a beer and discuss building science and engage in that community. And we're going to do that in spades in Chattanooga. We'll definitely find that spot in DC. We're just not there yet. But don't mistake one for the other. In my view, obviously I'm going to go to all of them. But it's important to me to go to an event like Kansas City or Austin and Chattanooga. It's not an either or for me, because even though the content will probably be, it's similar presentations, it's just not going to be the same experience, because you're going to hang out with all the people at this event, and then you're going to hang out with all the people at this event, and your time, again, after the presentations, you don't have the same conversation with the same person, the same time at a different event. It's not the same. It's different. Yeah. Each one's unique. And I think there's a lot to be gained. It's kind of like reading the same book or watching the same movie twice. Yeah, you're going to pick up different things. But if I go and see Blazing Saddles with you and Steve, that's going to be a laugh riot. Whereas if I watch it at home when I'm sick, I'm probably not even going to giggle. It's a totally different experience.
Sure. Okay, so let's talk. I wanted to talk one more time about the presenters, and I know that there's slight changes. Also, along the same lines of what you're just saying, my presentation is probably going to change because we have some details that we're executing after the first presentation takes place that I'm going to take to the second.
Ooh,
sorry,
teaser.
My phone's ringing. I forgot to turn it on silent.
Well, is it Joe? Because he might be.
No, it's one of my guys calling to tell me that he's finished for the day.
We'll take it live. It'll be great listening for everyone.
I'm going to text
everyone
him.
Wants to know how you're on your business.
It really won't. Sorry about that.
So while you're doing
it is the end of the day on Friday.
One of the reasons that the presentations will be different, we are doing them in different climate zones. You know, it's not the same weather in Austin as it is in DC. So one of the jobs that we've tasked our presenters with, and you're well aware of this as one of them, is to sort of be climate specific and try to address the items that would really affect builders in those markets differently. And I think it's really important to understand those things, because if I built the way Randy Williams builds in his climate, I would have mold in my walls, because poly it's a common practice up there. I guess Randy doesn't use it. He uses Sega stuff, but you know what I mean. Poly is a common element in climate zones 7 and 8. And we would never put it in our walls here because it's the wet diaper wall if you do it. So we have to have that in mind when we're trying to educate in each market. We have to keep those sort of details a little bit fluid for each presentation. And the discussions, of course, are going to be more centralized to those venues.
Sure. So I want to talk about the presenters real quick.
Please.
Number one, it is EMU and not EMU, right? EMU.
That's how I would prefer to say it. But if you ask Mariana, I believe they refer to it as EMU, and it's their business. So I stick with them.
Okay.
But I think that's due to, they founded it in Italy. I think it was originally an Italian company when they lived in Italy. And my understanding is that the Italian pronunciation is EMU.
Okay.
Check with Pete Yost on that. He's a man of different pronunciations.
Harass them on that then, so that I can understand. Have you ever seen how emu are raised? How they're farmed, how they're ranched? I think you can call yourself an emu rancher. So I have quite a few Cajun relatives that are the kind of people that would get into something as out there as being an emu rancher.
Okay.
And we toured their facility one time, and they have this enormous barn where they can all go inside, and they're separated in pens inside. But outside, they're in runs based off of size and age, which basically go hand in hand because they have a very predictive growth rate. And the first run is like 2.5 or 3 feet wide, and the fence is 12 inches tall. Because they're tiny. And then I saw it and I couldn't stop giggling for like a whole day, thinking about these little wild birds running in this. They're flightless, obviously.
Right.
They're small, but literally you can get to like the 16-week-old emu enclosure without having to open or close a gate. You just step over the progressively taller fences. And I saw this when I was probably 15, and it still sticks with me. It's one of those things that randomly pops into my head once a month, where I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember that's how they raise emu. That's how they ranch emu. So I'm not sure if they still do it that way. It's been 20 years since I've seen it that way, or more than 20 years. But I thought, since we're talking about emu, we should have that in the picture today. No offense to Mariana.
I thought you had a fine arts degree. I didn't realize it was animal husbandry. This is fascinating to me. Your knowledge is well beyond what I anticipated.
I actually was talking about education and the trades with the client the other day, and one of them said, "Didn't you go to college?" And I said, "Yeah, but my degree's in fine art with a minor in architectural design, a minor in art history, and a minor in ceramics. That's basically unemployable." Let's start at the I didn't bring a whole hell of a lot to the table with the college degree degree in quotes.
Yeah,
it was from a respected university, but so
respected by some.
Now you know all about emu ranching, and that has absolutely nothing to do with this. And that was, I actually wrote down emu ranching on my note card so that I could talk to you about it.
I'm glad you didn't miss that detail.
Let's talk fake news about Allison Bales. So, number one, Allison doesn't have social media, so you can't go online and just harass Allison. So if you want to confront Allison, which I think you should, about what we're about to talk about, this is going to need to be an in-person thing. So you're going to have to go to Kansas City, or you're going to have to come to Chattanooga, or you're going to have to come to Texas. Like, you're going to have to be face-to-face if you want real answers on real topics here. And I think that I'm going to say, let's hold my perspective, and I'll let you describe what you think I'm about to talk about, because you know what I'm going to bring up.
I think I do. As we asked presenters to be part of our event, we asked them, hey, would you also mention it on your social channels so that people who are interested in learning from you know that they can come and do that at these special events? So would you please share that information on your channels? Or like Allison runs the Energy Vanguard blog, which is a fantastic resource of information that people can really glean a lot of HVAC specific knowledge from in general building science. So Allison was kind enough to shoot a quick video to mention, hey, I'm going to be teaching at this Midwest Building Science Symposium. I'm also going to be in the Southeast at the Chattanooga Symposium. And as he was wrapping up his presentation of, hey, who's going to be joining me? Oh, we're going to have Glenn, we're going to have Steve. He decided that he would, make it more visually interesting. And he proceeded to start juggling, which is one of the many things that Allison can do.
I'm going to stop you. It appears that he might be juggling. I would like to point out that in this video that you can see on the BSN Beer KC Instagram page, you cannot see Allison's hands. I'm fairly certain to juggle, you have to be able to use your hands. And I put forth that until we see him juggle and use his own hands, that all you've seen is juggling take place in front of Allison.
I love this line of thought because it invites a juggle off of some sort where you and Allison at the bar in the wee hours are playing sort of a cocktail reenactment where bottles are being flipped. I believe you mentioned something about
instance.
I believe
Not the other guy.
The other guy whose name no one knows. You don't want to be that guy. Come on, man. A good supporting role is always the best way to win an Oscar. Are you going to bring your unicycle and your juggling? What do you call them? Are they? I would call them bowling pins.
Okay, so first and foremost, I want to say no. I'm not bringing a unicycle. The guy's name is Brian Brown, too. I don't want to be insulting to supporting actors from Tom Cruise movies that came out in the, 88. We're going to guess 88. I don't want to be insulting.
Believable.
So, no. And I don't intend to bring juggling paraphernalia with me either, because I'm not the one that needs to prove that I can juggle. This has nothing to do with me at all. This has to do with somebody having the budget for CGI or knowing a guy who's good at camera trickery. However it is, I think that this is, I just wanted to make sure that it was out there and that we know that the non-juggling elephant in the room has been addressed.
I'm trying to envision how this would be done. So is it your suggestion that Allison hired a cameraman to wear sort of a GoPro headlamp mount style POV, and then he did the juggling while
I'm not the one that's saying that it was done in any certain way. I'm just the one pointing out that it seems very convenient that you can't see Allison's hands in this video that's all about juggling. Anybody here's what I would say, actually. Anyone who is familiar with juggling, anyone who can juggle, anyone who's ever been a fan of juggling, understands the theatrics behind what happens with your hands and the balls. It's not just the balls. Travis is turning red. I was trying to get there so that I could make that.
You got there. Oh yeah, you got there. So isn't it your kind of catchphrase to trust but verify? I'm curious why you won't extend Allison any trust. You're ready to verify, but you have skipped way past trust.
No. I'm saying I didn't say that he didn't juggle. I'm saying
I think you use the phrase
it doesn't come as conclusive evidence that he juggled. That's all I'm saying. I'm just asking for clarity and for the truth to be brought to light. And I think that the people deserve to know, really.
Just so we're clear, Allison Bales, PhD, Dr. Bales, the thing he's chosen to potentially lie about is his ability to juggle. That's what you're suggesting.
I didn't say that he was lying. All I'm saying is prove it. I'm just saying prove it. Don't. You're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say anything about lying.
I wouldn't put anything in your mouth.
All I'm saying is that I haven't seen him juggle. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
If you feel like you've seen it, then maybe that's you. You know, some people will believe anything. It's whatever. I really hope Allison listens to this one podcast. I'm going to send it to him.
Oh my gosh. So if for no other reason than to see if you can get Allison to juggle live in Chattanooga, we should definitely get everyone to attend the Southeast Building Science Symposium, because I think if you are essentially calling him out and he shows up and does juggle for you, he's going to call you out and you're going to have to step up and show what you got.
I hate to think that it comes to that. I hate to think that.
Can't we all just get along?
It seems like there would be an easier resolution for him to just
pan down
where we could see it. I'm just saying. I'm not saying he doesn't know how to juggle. That's not what I'm saying.
Obviously.
I haven't seen it.
So
I haven't seen conclusive evidence. There are camera tricks. There are people out there that know how to do things that I don't know how to do. That like I wouldn't venture a guess as to how they do that, how they make the magic happen. I mean, we talked earlier about Jurassic Park. I've seen dinosaurs in movies, but I don't think they're there. I'm not that gullible. I want proof. That's all I'm saying.
So let me ask you a question.
Bring the proof is what I'm asking for. Bring me proof, and I'm on board. Nothing against Allison.
Fantastic. Can I ask you then, is that the thing you're most looking forward to? Because I know you're presenting, but you're also going to, as you have in the past, you sat down and took notes last year during presentations. I think that you get as much out of attending these as a presenter as you do as a regular attendee. So what I'm asking is that the thing you're looking forward to most about the symposium? Is the juggling, the potential for juggling, the juggling adjacent activities, any sort of clownship? What is it that you're really looking forward to?
I think if I had to break it down to one thing, it's the thing that we talked about earlier that we both said, like summer camp and the symposium, the Fine Home Building Summit, sorry, that both were the selling points for us to want to go back to those things. It's the discussion after the fact. It's great information. And don't get me wrong, I'm excited about listening to these people talk. Most of the people that are speaking, I've never seen before. And I go to a lot of conferences. And I'm excited to get to hear them and to hear what they're working on and to hear what their opinions are on things. But I'm also really excited to have a beer with everybody else and discuss what's happening, what happened in their presentation, and go, well, I agree on this, but I disagree on this, and this is why, and what do you think about this, with the other attendees as well as the speakers both.
I think that's excellent. That discourse is what makes the building science community what it is. The listening to others and then thinking and then asking, and then them listening to you and working through problems. I do think that there's something very special about that. There's not much of, my way or the highway, shouting each other down. There's always a mutual respect.
Sometimes there's someone.
Well, for other people, with you, I think it's for others.
I think it was, I was about to say, I think it was Stephen Delgado at the first one, but now I'm questioning who it was. Somebody came up and said, I disagree on this thing because of this. And I said, well, you're wrong. And then I went like this and turned away. I literally faced the other direction for about 3 seconds. Then I turned around and I'm sorry. No, I want to hear what you have to say. Like, I want to know if I'm wrong, because I might be wrong. And I'm okay with that as long as I figure out what right is in the end.
Well, and so often it's not either or, it's yes and. Like, oh, you're right about that detail in your market with your materials or your crew's level of expertise. Yep. And so that's why you need to have the discussion. If you just have the PDF of the slideshow and you're just reviewing that, that's not the same. You don't get the same experience. So you really need to be able to sit down with your brothers and sisters in science and have that discussion and figure out the right way together, because there is nuance and there is a lot of moving parts to make that work.
I agree. So in summation, number one, Kansas City is sold out already.
Correct.
Sorry that you can't get there, but pay attention and get on the books for it early next year. Chattanooga early bird registration ends September 15th.
I think that is correct.
Yes. And the price goes up after. I don't know the date now. It's October
12th and 13th.
Okay. And just so you know, a lot of us get in the night before. You should come in the night before as well, because we're going to be staying at that hotel. You may as well come and hang out and have a beer at the hotel. Or maybe even hit us up to see if you can squeeze into the dinner reservation for the night before. Talk to Travis on that one. He's organizing, not me.
Oh no, I don't have enough going on. I think we should defer to Nathan Shirai for that. So Nathan is the head of the Chattanooga BS and Beer, or BS and Beer Chat, as it's known on Instagram.
I think he prefers Grand Wizard of the.
Well, he is certainly grand in a number of ways, but I think that.
Oh, your audio cut out. You're gone.
Oh no!
There we go. Now I hear you. I missed your retort.
I'm not even going to go back for it. It wasn't that clever. What I will say is that Nathan is a very intelligent person and has done an amazing job of growing that building science and beer community there. And that's one of the reasons we chose that location for this event. So Nathan and I think, are going to sit down with Joe, who unfortunately had to run Catalyst construction this afternoon and was not able to join us. But we're going to sit down with the three of us and figure out maybe some of those fun dinner details, but especially the rooming. For anyone that doesn't have a few friends that you want to drive down or fly into Chattanooga with to book that room, you can still register as a single, and we will find someone of a similar gender to share that suite. So that, or I think there are still some single rooms. So basically, we're going to sort it out, and it will be very collegial and a lot of fun. So the dinners before, the drinks, all that stuff that you're talking about, that's going to happen. And we definitely look forward to having everyone join us for that as well.
I think it's amazing. Pay attention to the bsnbeerkc.org website and keep an eye out for the one coming in Austin as well. And eventually maybe DC too, after we find a venue. So
yeah, it's happening. Dan Hines and Nick Berger up there are working on it. We just got to get it locked down before we set a date.
Okay. So if it happens, Doug Horgan, I need a place to stay. Is it okay if I crash at your house? On that note,
juggling.
Real juggling. Legitimate balls in hand juggling. There's so many jokes. Okay. Well, that one went off the rails for a little while, but not for the whole thing. You get the gist. This is something that I support. I've presented there multiple times, like Travis said, because I think that they're doing some really good work and they're sharing good information in markets where there's not much information to be had in the public sphere. You have to go and know somebody to be able to learn from somebody else, sort of thing, or you have to travel to the coast. There's no reason why we can't be leaders in building science outside of Providence, Rhode Island, or outside of Vegas or whatever it is, So help us support this. All the proceeds also go to
Keep Craft Alive.
Keep Craft Alive, which is an amazing thing. So by attending, you're doing a good thing. You're helping our trades. We're paying it forward, as we will, as you would say. Okay. Travis, thanks for being on the podcast. Tell Joe it was amazing, and it would have been better if he were here. And next time we'll have to have Joe as well.
Yeah, most certainly. We'll have Joe back on. And I do want to thank you for taking the time to help with the event every year. You really have shared a lot of knowledge that has impacted a lot of people. And so we're grateful for your involvement. And I also need to thank Cheryl Lewis Associates, who's helping organize all these events. So thanks to you and Steve. Thanks to Cheryl, and thanks for everyone listening. We'll see you in Chattanooga.
Okay. Till next time, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is an audio only, but we do publish stuff on our YouTube channel. Maybe we'll put up a true juggling video someday soon so that you can see what that looks like. Otherwise, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. It's how other people find us. It's how the podcast grows. It's how more people get the opportunity to hear the ridiculous conversations that we have and get to hear about Peter growing up in a parsonage. So till next time, thanks for listening.